So my name's Jennifer, and I'm the mother of a 22-year-old autistic man. My son is a better person than RFK Jr. could ever hope to be. And this is my response to RFK Jr. I want to start by saying, while there are many people that I follow, many people who can very adequately describe how I'm feeling and have in the past described how I'm feeling right now, it's time that I do it for myself. So first and foremost, RFK Jr. continues to point to vaccines as the cause for autism. And I'm not going to even mince words when I say that autism and that vaccines correlation is, not proven. In fact, there is a vast amount of scientific evidence that demonstrates that there is no correlation between the vaccination schedule, the MMR vaccine, and the development of autism spectrum disorders. And in fact, that myth was created when a doctor by the name of Andrew Wakefield conducted a research study with a whopping 12 children who were diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. What Andrew Wakefield found was that children who were given the MMR vaccine in 1998 and or earlier, those 12 children had developed, as a result of the MMR vaccine, autism, or a specific set of symptoms representing the developmental disability of autism. The fact is that Andrew Wakefield had such a minimal amount of participants that it basically created an issue where his study was declared null and void because he simply didn't have a broad enough scope of participants. Secondary to that was that Andrew Wakefield falsified information continually, which has been proven time and time again by people who participated in the research study with him, who were being paid or were promised to be paid, given the third complication for Andrew Wakefield, which was that he wanted to launch his own MMR vaccine. Don't believe me? Do your own research. That was the number one debunked myth, which occurred before my son was born. In fact, in 2010, all of the research that was published in The Lancet, which is where Andrew Wakefield, which is a medical journal, where Andrew Wakefield first published his information regarding his study, was actually removed because it was found to be lacking all scientific method and all scientific basis. Science does matter. That's one of the first things I wanted to say. Now I'm going to refer to some facts that I have gathered based on, I've been a parent of, like I said, an autistic person for 22 plus years. He's going to be 23 this year. And I have been involved in more research personally alongside my son and his sibling than I even care to admit, because it was incredibly time consuming. But I did that at Kennedy Krieger Institute, which is a division of Johns Hopkins University Medical in Baltimore, Maryland. And I was looking for that word, which obviously you could tell by the way that I said that. But I guess the point is that my participation in that research and my knowledge gained from being a participant in that research was incredible and was extremely important in helping me form my own opinions, informed opinions based on the outcomes of the research. This is what I want to say. The claim that vaccines cause autism is a myth that has been routinely unsupported by scientific evidence, which means science, scientists, and scientific method were employed in finding those outcomes. Extensive research involving millions of children across multiple countries around the globe has consistently found no causal link between vaccines and autism. Vaccines are safe, they are effective, and they are critical for preventing serious diseases. And this is occurring. This information is imperative because it's during a time where we are experiencing another incredible outbreak of measles, a preventable illness that has thus far killed 2 individuals. But over 800 people avoided vaccines due to fear-mongering by anti-vaccine individuals who like to perpetuate the myths and lies because it gives them a stage to stand on. The perpetuation of this myth, the myth that vaccines cause autism, has led to dangerous public health consequences, which are being continually reinforced by RFKJr in his current governmental role, where he has no place being. I certainly didn't ask for him, and Congress didn't ask me what I thought, yet I thought they were supposed to represent me. What an idiot. So, fear-mongering has led to vaccine hesitancy and disease outbreak. We have seen the reemergence of diseases that vaccines have eliminated, vaccines that actually saved lives. And people still think, oh, the vaccine is worse than the disease. Educate yourselves. Just do some research. Broaden your horizons by looking beyond Fox News and Newsmax and beyond pseudoscience, which, by the way, is not real science. It's a bunch of opinions not backed by scientific evidence. Correlation is not causation. That is a fundamental scientific truth. Yet that's what pseudoscience relies on. I want to also say that genetic factors, and this is very important, and I want you to hear me when I say this. Genetic factors underlying autism are complex and often involve contributions from 1, rare mutations, 2, common variants, and 3, regulatory elements of the developing human body. These developments occur in utero and can continue to occur outside of the mother's womb. While heritability is high, meaning that an individual who has an autism spectrum disorder is likely to have a child with an autism spectrum disorder or a sibling, particularly if they're twins, with an autism spectrum disorder, it is not absolute. But heritability is a critical factor, which means that if you or someone in your family display certain autistic characteristics or traits, you probably have an autistic phenotype, which ultimately means that there is a higher chance that if both a mother and father have shared, maybe different, but shared autistic phenotype designations, that their child will be autistic. Now, I have 2 sons. My oldest son has autism. My youngest son has ADHD. Surprise, I have ADHD. And their father actually also has displayed some unique characteristics that would classify him as being an autistic phenotype. I also have family whom I do not know, do not care to know, will never know, whose genetics I do not understand because I have no access. That plays a role too. And everybody has people and genetics that they are unaware of. That's why you have to use caution when you point to, oh, vaccines caused my autism, because vaccines don't cause autism. It has been disproven, or it has been proven time and time again. The correlation between autism does not exist. While heritability is high, autism also involves interactions between genetics, epigenetics, and environmental factors. So the one thing that RFK said was there is an environmental toxin. In fact, there are multiple environmental factors, and yes, there may be a toxin, but the toxin is not responsible for the development of autism. Heritability is. Genetics is. Just like many other diseases. And sometimes, because there are genetic mutations, which are rare, they tend to occur in 10 to 30% of the population, giving them the predisposition to an autism spectrum disorder. They don't always occur. The development of autism does not always follow, but in some it does. This is why it is so critical that we continue research. Ongoing research using advanced technologies like whole genome sequencing or CRISPR, which is an acronym, continues to uncover the intricate biological pathways and neurological development of individuals with neurodiversity, individuals who are neurodiverse. And those pathways, of course, are involved in the development of autism spectrum disorder, paving the way for improved diagnosis, personalized treatments for individuals who have challenges that need support to overcome, and better support overall for families and individuals. That is what we need. We do not need RFKJr standing on a stage, giving a speech, acting as if he knows everything when he has not experienced it himself, spewing more lies, giving people misinformation, fear-mongering. These are people that do not care about you. Everything about him is unhealthy. And yet here he is sitting, talking to us about something he knows nothing about, aside from the few pseudoscience research studies that he has allowed his brain to attempt to analyze. Cognition is challenged in this man. His own brain has changed because of his years of drug abuse, which actually does change the way a person processes information. That is also scientifically proven. His years of physical abuse to his body outside of drug use, which affect a person's ability to process information, to analyze information, and to critically think, leaving him with the only thing that he can grasp at to put him center stage in front of your lives, spewing lies. Take his words with extreme caution, and until you do the research yourself as to all of the factors that pertain to the genetic development and genetic component of an autism spectrum disorder developing in your child, I don't know. Stop drinking the friggin' Kool-Aid.